WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany, tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Today I have a new series from Signatory Vintage, exclusive for Germany, and together in cooperation with Kirsch Import, and it's called the Samurai Series, number 2. Well, number 1, this came out in July of 2021, and the first series came out at the end of 2020, and they had a little bit of a problem because they had the red sun here with the red rays coming off from the sun. And of course, that was the flag that was used by Japan during the Second World War, and they lost. And after that, they never used it again officially. And there were quite a few people in the German world here that were fairly peeved about the inappropriateness of the labels. And so now they have hopefully politically correct labels here. So of the 4, I'm going to start off today with a Craigellachie, and then we're going to move over here to a Glentauchers, 63.2%. Then we're going to move over to an Auchentoshan Triple Distilled, 54.7%. And at the end, and I hope this is not the one I like the best because I'm not yet a peathead, this is a Koile with 59.1%. All right, so they were all about 129 euros each. So I'm going to start off with this one here. We have our Craigellachie 2009. So first of all, a beautiful, tiny little decanter bottle over here. Tiny little 0.7 liters as usual. And so I don't know about you, but that label is interesting, but yet not worth a very, very steep price tag. Now, the same labels on the bottle as well as on the tin. So let's just go for the tin first of all. I think that is female. And you can see her there with the sword and the samurai and so on. You have here the little flowers at the top, and they're all in the colors of red, black, and white. So this is Whiskybase number 187155. It is a vintage, a single barrel, and it's from the 5th of June 2009. It was bottled on the 15th of October 2020. Brexit kind of happened, and it took a while for it to get here. Even though it was bottled in October, it arrived in Germany basically and was on sale in July, first of all. So something happened in between those almost 8 months there. It's 11 years old. It's a sherry butt. It's cask number 305809. And there are 604 bottles of this at 59%. If you look at this, this is very dark, right? So this is like Coca-Cola type of dark. Some people like it, some people don't. I paid $129 basically for my bottle. At the moment, they're in the Whiskybase are $250, $299, and $349. These are now collector's items. And I have no idea who's going to collect them in the future. It's just because of the labels, right? I don't know. I don't get it. All right, so what am I going to compare it to? This is also something I didn't get back then. SMWS. Scotch Whisky, Scotch Whisky, SM, Scotch Malt Whisky Society. Wow. So you have to know the number. 44 is always Craigellachie because that was the 44th distillery they ever bottled. Number 1 was Glenfarclas. And this is bottle number 117. This was in the States as well as in Europe. So you might actually have it there in the States where you are. Happiness is a warm bung. It's 8 years old, and it was bottled at 68.5% ABV. So getting my glass out here. This is a second fill Pedro Jimenez butt. So someone did not pick up their samples as ordered, and now I have a little bit left. So you can first of all see the color difference. This is sherry. This is a second fill Pedro Jimenez. The second fill Pedro Jimenez looks normal. This looks abnormal. This is not how whiskey should look, in my personal opinion. This is how Stagg Jr. can look. This is how a George T. Stagg can look. This is how an Elijah Craig might look. But this is not really how a normal whiskey should look. So I don't know what they did to that sherry butt. Did they toast it? Did they rechar it before they actually put the sherry in there? I am not sure. If you need a Whiskybase here number for the SMWS bottle, it is then 144829. And this is a vintage bottled on the 20th of April 2011. And it was distilled on the 20th of April 2011 and bottled in 2019. So you know it's been around for 2 years now. 590 bottles from a butt. Here we have 600. 604. Now the first thing that I ask myself is, all right, 11 years old. Is that really a single cask? Or is it finished? That's a lot of bottles out of a butt. I don't know. All right, so now the second thing I always ask myself is the color. Where did it come from? And the third thing I kind of think about, okay, Craigellachie. Oh yeah, one of my favorite distilleries. You see the smile on my face? I like Craigellachie a lot. And according to this wonderful, wonderful book full of information, more information than my brain can actually retain, it says here, and they talk about the warm tubs. So first of all, of the 5 malt distilleries owned by Dewar's, and Dewar's belongs, of course, to Bacardi, Craigellachie is the only one using warm tubs to condense the spirit vapors. And a warm tub is a long vat filled with water with a sometimes more than 100-meter long copper spiral, the worm fitted inside. And the spirit vapors run through the spiral are condensed by the surrounding water. Yay! This is a traditional way of cooling the vapors, and only 17 distilleries in Scotland continue this practice today. Invented in Germany, yay, in 1540, a long time ago, warm tubs were installed in every distillery until the 1880s, when the first shell and tube condenser appeared. All right, so the shell and tube condensers are much, much, much more effective. A few different reasons. All right, so I don't know if you've ever seen someone lay floor heating. Floor heating, at least over here. In Europe, we use water. We use water for our radiators, and we use water for our floor heating. And so we heat up the water, and it has a little spiral on the floor, and then it heats the floor more or less evenly. Yay. So, and now what you have to imagine is in those spirals that these coils, there's so many coils in this one little tube, and what was it called? Wow, Jason, I'm really bad today. The shell and the tube. So you have a lot of tubes running through there. So in a shell and tube heat exchanger, a condenser, that's all a condenser is. It condenses by getting rid of the heat, by exchanging the heat, by transferring the heat away from the vapor and making it to condense. Is you have a lot more copper contact, not less, more. And because warm tubs are so inefficient, you actually have less copper contact and you have more of a sulfury moment. But what does copper do? It creates a bond with that sulfur oxides, and it actually pulls the sulfur out of the distillate. And so if you have a shell and tube heat exchanger, less copper, less time in the cask, a more pleasant whiskey usually to have. And you can also pressurize them. Yay! And so actually when you have the warm tub, you only have maybe a third sometimes of that liquid coming in contact with the copper at all on that tube. And in a pressurized tube and shell and tube heat exchanger, you can actually have more surface contact there, much more. All right, so that's enough of that. So I've talked about that. So let's take a look at this one. On the nose, I do get that typical syrup sherry moment now. Not much or hardly any sulfur at all. Very, very light moment of sulfur. Now, this is Pedro Jimenez. This has a beautiful nose. Oh, I have my raisins. I have a little bit of mocha. I have a little bit of chocolate wood here. Very, very nice. So what they did is probably, this is since it's just sherry and not a Oloroso, not a Pedro Jimenez, probably what they're using is maybe a cream. What is a cream? Cream is a mixture of Pedro Jimenez and Oloroso together. Boom. All the casks are seasoned anyways, basically for Signatory vintage, for the sherry, and they can do that. And this is okay. It has a light sour moment. It's not that pleasant sherry goodness that I like, but rather it has the color. It was created, it was manufactured to create the darkest possible color with a hopefully okay taste. And I get a little bit of a grassy Craigellachie moment here. All right, cheers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little bit of heat. That's not really doing it. What's not doing it for me is the taste. There is sulfur, a meaty sulfur moment there. Thank you, Craigellachie. Question of the day, by the way, what is your favorite Craigellachie? Is it the 17? Or is it? Okay, yes, hidden back here. Is it the 13? Not hidden, in plain view up there. Those are the two standards. I actually did a blind tasting where we had 4 independent bottles from Craigellachie, the 2 original bottles here from Dewar's or from Bacardi, and the 2 originals won hands down. They're doing a good job there. There's a sweetness in there. There's a little bit of a sweet wood moment. There's a little bit of a cinnamon moment in there. Maybe a tiny, tiny little bit of cardamom. But this is not really, not doing it for me. So sorry. It's going to be a C-, and that's the way it is at this moment. Yeah, let's take a look at this monster of a whiskey with its 68.5%. I do remember that it was way too hot for me. I just couldn't deal with it. So before I even try it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some water in it. And I'm going to bring it down to about 52%. And then I'm going to try it. On the nose, yes, I like the raisins from the Pedro Jimenez, from the PX. On the palate, that Craigellachie meaty sulfur moment shines through. And then that raisin Pedro Jimenez moment as well. This whiskey is a challenging whiskey. This is nothing for beginners. This is nothing really for me at this moment as well. This is something for a summer night, a winter night, fireplace roaring, and so on, blanket or quilt or whatever, and that's what this needs. Yeah, I like this better than this though. So that says something. So this is for me more of a C-. Value for money, it's definitely a D, maybe even F if you go for secondary prices at the moment. I just don't understand the craze at the moment for buying these collections. If I wanted a beautiful, beautiful picture like that, I would buy a print, or I'd buy a postcard, or I would do something else. But to buy a €129 bottle with whiskey that I probably won't drink because it's a collector's item, I just don't understand. So sorry, so sorry. All right, so maybe you can help me. I don't know. So what is your favorite Craigellachie? This is not mine. The 17 is definitely my favorite. The 13 I like a lot, but the 17 is good. And 23 was way too expensive and not worth the money. Personal opinion, WhiskyJason here. Whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany, tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. One of 604 bottles, and I'll be doing the other 3 bottles as well in this series. Thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, tell others, maybe share this video, and I will see you back here real soon. Bye-bye.